got my text about Dr. Scott?
No.
Yeah, for public comment.
Okay.
Okay. The eco corridor after Mika does her presentation.
Okay. So Dr. Scott.
Yeah.
All right. I recognize her after any councilman have any questions.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman, we're ready when you are.
Thank you. Let's call the meeting to order, and I'm gonna ask Councilman Gregory to bring a few words, please.
Let's take a moment of silence. Amen.
Thank you. The chair entertains a approval of the minutes of March 24th.
So moved.
Properly and seconded. Any questions on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. We're down to item C, request for public hearing on proposed abandonment of Scott Island Court. Who's going to address that? Hello?
Mr. Chair, this is Tim Keene. I think Julia, if Julia is here, she might be handling this item.
Ms. Copeland?
Chairman Waring, this is Melissa.
Okay.
Ms. Copeland is not
What else?
online right now. She's in another meeting, and I'm sorry, I don't know anything about this.
Well, why don't we do this?
I actually do have a little info on this. Sorry to hop in. It's Magali.
Okay, Magali, thank you.
So this is basically the property owners. There's only one property that abuts this right of way. And it's a single parcel. I believe it's in Johns Island. I'm just going from memory, so apologies if that's not correct. And they basically just, they want to make it part of their existing parcel. It doesn't serve any other parcels, and we don't see any problems with that.
Okay.
It's a single family residence, is my recollection as well.
Okay. Any committee members have any questions on that? Does any committee member have a motion on that?
I'll move for approval.
I'll second it.
Probably moved and seconded. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Acceptance and dedication of item E1, Cane Dell Web Phase 1. Who's going to
Mr.
address
Chair,
that?
this is Tim Keene
All
again.
right, Mr. Keene.
Good evening.
Thank you.
We've actually got two requests for acceptance and dedication of rights of way and easements this evening for the committee. This first one is on the Canehoy Peninsula, of course, at the northern end of Clements Ferry Road, the first phase of Del Webb's development up there, which is under construction. It'll be 174 lots. This is for the public infrastructure in that phase one. And then item 2 under E is for a second phase in Daniel Island. This one is only 10 lots, but for dedication of public infrastructure in association with phase 2 of a little neighborhood there on Daniel Island.
Okay, so there's nothing unusual about these dedications?
No, there's not.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the committee? Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. Any discussion on these dedications and easements? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Down to item E3, authorization to notify SCDOT that the city intends to accept maintenance of approximately 660 linear feet of granite curb. And it goes on as you see on your agenda. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Probably moving second. Any more discussion on accepting this authorization from SCDOT? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. E4, acceptance of a temporary construction easement on the TMS number represented on our agenda for the purpose of stabilizing the existing drainage tunnel. Do we have
So
a
moved.
properly moved and
Second.
seconded? Any more discussion on this one? Mr. Fountain, you want to contribute a little bit on this?
Mr. Chairman, this is
Aye.
stabilization of an outfall easement on Furman Drive that we've been working with a number of council members and one of the state representatives to correct some erosion issues.
Okay. I'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're down to item F, temporary encroachments. This is just for information, but Mr. Fountain or Mr. Keen, I think anything unusual or exceptional about any of these encroachments?
Mr. Chair, there are not any unusual requests here. This is pretty standard temporary encroachment agreements around the city.
All right, good. Just for information. Thank you. Item G, director updates, Public Service Department.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot for you today. We're still working on Rutledge Avenue sidewalk repairs. We will be bringing garbage trucks back to you guys in Ways and Means for approval. The ones that we had previously ordered, the chassis manufacturer went out of business, so we had to rebid and bring those back.
Well, listen, for anybody new to this call, anytime there's not a lot of updates on the public service, that means the city's getting the job done. So congratulations to you and your team, Mr. Alton.
Agreed.
H1, request for permanent encroachment. 111 Beresford Creek.
Mr. Chair, this is Tim Keen again. I can speak to this to the degree you want me to, but to get to the bottom line, somebody built a garage adjacent to a drainage easement on Daniel Island years ago, and they came in to get a permit to add a second floor to that garage. Turns out that they have an overhang on the garage that encroaches 12 inches in the drainage easement.
Oh,
And an encroachment permit had never been issued for this garage, but it was caught actually by their design review board on Daniel Island when they came in for this additional floor. So we wanted to just go ahead and issue this encroachment agreement. Again, the building already exists.
Okay.
It was missed years ago, but we don't want to ask them to tear down their garage for the purpose of having this 12-inch overhang.
all right. Okay, committee members, what's the actionable item?
I'd move for approval.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any more discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. Down to item I, stormwater management update. Number one, I guess Mr. Fountain, MUSC pump station upfit, design in progress.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to share my screen briefly just to give a talking point here. So this is the first item is just an update to the committee on the progress of the MUSC pump station, and we'll have a fee amendment to our professional services schedule coming to the next Ways and Means meeting, which is in advance of our next committee meeting. So I wanted to make sure there weren't any questions by the committee for the project prior to that Ways and Means meeting. MUSC pump station, if you're not familiar, just very briefly, this is looking on the peninsula. This is the VA hospital at B Street, James Island Expressway coming across. The MUSC basin serves Courtney Drive, which is here, parts of Dowdy, and parts of B Street. This is a pump station that was originally constructed by MUSC as part of a large set of hospital projects they did in the early 2000s. The city took over maintenance of it in 2006. Serves this 20-acre basin in this area. Obviously, a critical part of the hospital corridor for the infrastructure. Currently, it's about 18,000 gallons per minute. It's our smallest pump station. We're doing an upfit at this point in combination with the Army Corps of Engineers, who are working on a $4 million cost share for the project. Project expense will be a little bit beyond that, but that's the contribution at level from the Corps. We're upfitting to what'll currently be a 26,000 gallon per minute pump station, able to drain out that street a little bit more efficiently. The station will have the capability with the existing infrastructure we're putting in to go up to 40,000 gallons per minute if we upgrade some of the force main that runs through the VA property. That's a long ongoing discussion with the VA about some of the plans they have on their property as well for coordination, but it will work. Prior to that, has some potential for future improvement as well. Full replacement of mechanical electrical control systems with those improved systems, elevates and closes the electrical and the control systems, build basically a freestanding building within the existing pump station area, as well as a lot of hydraulic improvements of the pipes coming into the station. The fee amendment is to add some scope to the original design effort. We found some options to improve pipe connections to the pump station based on what was actually constructed in the field versus what some of the original design work had been. We also need to support a freestanding internal building to avoid any impacts to MUSC's existing concrete walls that surround the pump station. And we're adjusting for a few other conditions that we identified in design. That's a $284,000 change order, again, this $4 million effort, taking it to Ways and Means, first May meeting. We do have funding for this. Shouldn't be any issue, but wanted to make sure there weren't any questions from the committee and show you where we were progress-wise. We're at, this will complete the 90% design, should be into construction on this project in 2026 with the Corps.
Okay, sounds pretty good. Questions from any committee members? Well, is there a motion to be had?
Move for approval.
Second.
Properly moving second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item I2, Mr. Fountain.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a item that we're working on with the resiliency group with Mr. McVeigh and Ms. Casella. Another U.S. Army Corps Engineer Environmental Infrastructure Funding Program, very similar program to the MUSC pump station. These are kind of standalone funding agreements we do with the Corps for collaborative project work, where the Corps contributes 75% of the funding, the city contributes 25% of the funding. This is a separate appropriation, authorization and appropriation. In this case, the Corps was able to appropriate $5,625,000 of federal funding with a city match of $1,875,000 towards the brick arch upfit construction that we're doing, as well as the DuPont Wapu drainage improvements. It'll be a single agreement for both. It covers both project efforts. The brick arches will start in 2025 with a relatively low cost contract setup, and then quite a bit of cost in 2026 for the actual effort. Will basically be contributing the funds the city would have generally used for an annual brick arch upfit, but instead that'll only be 25% of the total project effort. The Corps will contribute roughly an additional $4 million, and we'll be able to do about 5 times what we would have done in a typical year. The DuPont Wapu project in 2025, we're going to be working through formulation of what the Corps will participate in that basin, and then come forward in 2026 with design funding. This will be a design-only effort by the Corps at this point, but we'll be able to request additional appropriations under the existing authorization for construction funding on that project in future years. This also is coming to Ways and Means at that first May meeting. The Corps would really like to get this finalized and approved in their current desire for expediency, let's say, at a federal level. So they're hoping to do a signing in May. So again, wanted to see if there were any questions or concerns on this item. It'll be a similar funding agreement to what we did for the MUSC pump station.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just wanted to say congratulations for a job well done to Matt and his team, but also Kaylin and her team for helping to land this, because I think it's a pretty big deal to be able to get this kind of money, especially in today's climate. And so I just want to say thank you for a job well done.
Well deserved. Thank you so much. Mr. Fountain, to the left, the cave-in portion, is that one yet to be done, or that's the one that's already been repaired?
So that's an example of what we see when we often start working on the arches. We'll see typically some partial cave-ins, some missing brick courses, and on the right is what you would see in a finished condition where it's been repaired, open back up. We line it with a wire mesh reinforcement and then basically spray a concrete liner into it to create that art, recreate that art shape and have conveyance again.
Just curious, the one you just pointed out, the finished product, how long is that?
The dimensions are normally about 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide.
Mm-hmm.
The length in this photo is you probably see about 100 feet down the archway, maybe a little beyond 100 feet. We've completed about a mile, working from Murray Boulevard all the way up to Calhoun Street along that Logan Cumming Limehouse corridor, as well as some spot repairs in other sections of the city. But we're looking at about another mile of work with the Army Corps of Engineers. So as much work as we've accomplished so far, basically doing that again, hopefully next year.
Okay, good. So that formerly was what, the city's old sewer system?
That's right. So the arches went in 1870 in response to a yellow fever epidemic to try to get sewage basically out of the peninsula and into the harbor on their tidally flushed system. So we, as part of the low battery project, and as well as some of the other work in our check valve project, have improved the outfalls and added check valves to control the tide coming in on all of these. And now we're working to restore the ability for water to flow out through them into the harbor.
That's great. That's great.
And Mr. Chairman, Councilmember Seekings has his hand up.
Councilman Seekings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to echo the mayor's comments. This is really a big deal on the brick arch. I mean, the work that's been done has been incredible. You talk about getting some value for the dollar spent. These projects and this project has been incredible in the relief it's given. And so getting some help from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is just an added bonus on top of it. So thank you all for what you're doing and plenty more to come. It's great.
All right, man, listen, I congratulate you all. It is. We got that network underneath the city, and when we can put them back to current use, it's just great. I'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, who was the motion and the second on that one?
I thought it was the mayor and Councilman Gregory. I thought.
No, it wasn't me this time.
Well,
I'm happy to
I'll go ahead and
second
do
it.
it. Move for approval and
Second.
All right. Well, let's create it again. Properly moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I-3 Church Creek Bridgepoint Flood Storage Project update, Mr. Fountain.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're going to have Mr. Charlton Cave, who's the project manager for this project, do a very brief presentation on the completion of the initial efforts on that Church Creek Bridgepoint Flood Storage Project, as well as the work on Mallard Court and Wolk Drive. It's always good to see the completed projects with the grant funding, not just the start of the projects that we just talked about with MUSC and the brick arches in Tupac.
Okay.
All right, thanks everybody. Good evening. Give me a second to share my screen if you would. All right. I apologize for that. Yeah, just to give you all a quick update on the Church Creek projects going on, give you a little bit of background to refresh your memory. There's 4 projects with this larger effort. The 2 we're looking at today are the Wolk Drive and Bridgepoint projects that have been recently completed as part of the same construction contract. So several of these properties were FEMA funded buyout properties. A large portion of this was paid using a $1.3 million grant from National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. And that also includes additional contributions from the Nature Conservancy. Here's a little conceptual layout for the Bridgepoint project. The Wolk Drive project is very similar, just a little bit smaller footprint, where it's using nature-based design practices to accomplish some practical engineering problem solving. This is for flood relief, of course, but this site functions as kind of an auxiliary overflow for the larger shadow moss system, which frequently gets inundated. The The Bridgepoint project was started in the winter of 2024 and completed in early fall of 2024. Give me 1 second. And that also includes currently in design the Bridgepoint Park, which is in permitting and would be completed later on this year. We've got a picture here from 2015, and this is the Bridgepoint townhomes on the right here, and this is adjacent to part of the primary shadow mall system that during this storm event had been totally inundated and caused structural flooding. We've got a couple of photos of the construction process to run through. Got the rough grading and excavation of the site, digging out the basins, and at the bottom you can see reuse of woody features for habitat restoration. And then we move into the fine grading process and landscaping. And since part of this is for habitat restoration, one of the benefits is you get a lot of wildlife. We have ducks and geese and turtles and all manner of wildlife on the site at all times. This is the site this past year during Tropical Storm Debbie. And as you can see, the site is totally inundated. This is the site doing its job, functioning as designed. All of this is water that would have normally been back out in the primary shadow mall system, potentially causing or worsening flooding in roadways or residence properties. This is a photo from the Wolk Drive site that we discussed earlier. This is as it is today. And this is a photo from the Bridgepoint site, again, as it is today. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Questions and observations from committee members? Listen, this is a long time coming victory right here. I mean, I don't know how many times those people at Bridgepoint were flooded out to the point where they had to move out of their homes. I think in, I don't know, 10 years, 6 or 7 times. So got a problem, you got a solution that's finally came. We talked about what would happen and now we have it. So praises and salutations to everybody that played a part in this success. This is a huge win for that area out there. I know the Councilman Bowden is not here, but I know he would certainly have some words to offer as well as Councilman Shealy. Other than that, do we have this is just for information?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Well, thank you, Mr. Cave and Mr. Fountain and your team. We got this one done. We're down to miscellaneous, J1, Just Corridor Concept, presentation by Ms. Mickey Gatson, Director of
Hello.
Sustainability.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Let me see, screen 1. Okay. So here, well, essentially what I'm aiming to do here is really introduce a concept that, or rather the framework for an idea that we've been working on in my arm of the team here in the city for some time. What started off as an idea presented by community stakeholders, the Marsh Project specifically, matured into an idea that we were trying to support or trying to find support for various revenue or grant sources. But we're here now to pitch this to the city in hopes to familiarize everyone with the idea, but also explain what the Just Corridor is if folks have been hearing about it through numerous channels. This is really a broad, very high level view of the of the concept, and it is yet to be refined. Nothing is set in stone, and we're currently working and collaborating across departments to fully flesh out the idea. Here is a map that was drawn up by Morgan and Emily over at the CDC. Here you have a picture of course, the corridor, and the blue shaded areas are the basins where you see the tidal creeks that remain on the peninsula. These are not, the arrows above represent a boundary, but these are not finite boundaries. It's just to give a sense of an idea of where the kernel of the idea of a corridor could begin. And also starting on the peninsula, we're doing that for a specific reason. Chief among them, that this idea was brought to us by the Marsh Project and the work that they've been able to steward in their area of Wagner Terrace around the Halsey Creek and that watershed area serves as essentially what is a pilot area for where the eco corridor could grow. And it is a modular idea. The goal is to have this replicated throughout all of Charleston. This is not just something specific to the peninsula. But here again, just a very basic map showing the influences of these watershed areas. You'll see here on the map, Halsey Creek, New Market Creek, Vardell Creek, and the Gadsden Creek as well. And these are some of the areas where we're hoping to address, by address meaning address any flooding with nature-based solutions. So what is an ecological corridor? Ecological corridors are areas of natural land, AKA where native plants and trees can be found that connect the larger conserved spaces, allowing plants and animals to move freely between them. And I also want to emphasize humans as well. This is for humans as well. These corridors are essential to maintaining biodiversity, allowing species to allowing species to access food, water, habitat throughout developed landscapes. And again, hopefully this idea will coincide with a number of plans that are currently in the works. So it will also enhance human connectivity. Why an urban corridor? These are just three among many reasons or incentives why we should pursue what would be the first in the Southeast ecological corridor. One being livability. Urban corridors cool neighborhoods through tree canopy, absorb stormwater potentially, and make sidewalks and public spaces more inviting and shaded. Stormwater benefits. So think bioswales, rain gardens, and permeable surfaces instead of concrete. So this is green infrastructure versus gray infrastructure, all of which reduce flooding and filter water naturally. And public health, native plantings and increased green space, improve air quality and reduce urban heat. And essentially what I hope the eco corridor or the just corridor addresses is delivering what we already do. We already deliver clean air, clean water, and green spaces to Charleston's residents. So hopefully this will enhance that ability. Significance of the name. This one is like this feature or this element is one of my favorite because it's really important that we root projects. For me, it's important that we root projects if and when we can in our local history, being such a historic city. So I drew inspiration from the legacy of Maryville's own Ernest Everett Just, a pioneer in chemistry, marine biology, and ecology. Ernest Everett Just was born in 1883. He was an inspiring African-American scientist, educator, and author whose groundbreaking work in cell and developmental biology transformed the field. Again, a native Charlestonian, specifically native to Maryville. He is the son of Mary Matthews Just. So he faced a lot of barriers and he overcame those barriers to become a graduate of Dartmouth College. He got his PhD from University of Chicago, also studied at Howard University. Ernest Everett Just's pioneering research and philosophical approach have established vital connections among biology, ethics, and ecology. His work in bioethics specifically emphasizes the necessity of respecting the integrity and the interconnectedness of all forms of life, thus fostering a deeper understanding of sustainable and responsible practices within scientific inquiry. And there's a quote that I wanted to include right there from Ernest Everett Just: "Life is not only a struggle against the surrounding from which life came, it is also a cooperation with them." And I think that really speaks to his the work that he was able to accomplish later in his life. The other, what I aim to do today is just present the idea of this is a draft, a part of a draft that was presented by the Marsh Project, a draft of a resolution that we do hope to soon bring to City Council for approval. But what this would do is demonstrate our commitment to this initiative, which is community driven. And I think it's one of those projects or opportunities where we see a self-motivated and empowered community that the Marsh Project represents, and really work on that energy or work with that energy to dovetail some of this into some of the things that we're already accomplishing or we're working on currently with a series of other plans, most notably the Peninsula Plan and the Water Plan, and recommendations listed within those efforts. I'm going to stop sharing if I can. So many screens. Hold on 1 second. All right, here we go. Okay. And I know that we have Dr. Scott here on the call as well to offer comment, but I just wanted to just present the general idea of the Just Corridor.
I think it was a great presentation. Before I recognize Dr. Scott, let me see if any committee members have any questions of you on your presentation.
Not really a question, just a comment in terms of what a great job Mika is doing with regard to the corridor. The only thing that I would add is that we have a unique opportunity with the Halsey Creek approach, because with our small projects, stormwater projects, Mr. Chairman,
right,
we're about to invest about $600,000 in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And due to the leadership again of Mika, we've already had a meeting with our stormwater director, as well as Josh Robinson, who is also joining us as a consultant.
Good.
To talk about how we can mesh our stormwater approach to the corridor and continue to come up with nature-based solutions to many of the problems that we have there. So I really think that starting there is a great point, because we're already getting ready to invest some dollars in stormwater management over there. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks for your observations on Ms. Parker. I see your hand.
Yeah, and this might be relevant after the Dr. Scott, but first, I mean, I have to ask, I mean, thank you for the presentation, but I do have a couple questions. So the Director of Sustainability, have things changed again at the city level?
Yes, we sent out a press release maybe a month or two ago that Mika had been elevated to that role.
Okay, that's fine. I normally miss things. So I can't, I'm sorry, Miss Gadsden, I can't but mention the rain garden. So I think this is great. I mean, I live on James Island. I wish that these projects were focused on James Island just as much as they are on the peninsula. James Island is lower than the peninsula. But these are great efforts, and we have been doing these in the past, but more recently we were sort of halting these efforts. And it's great. I mean, we're bringing them back, but how exactly are we bringing them back? So we want to educate, we want to do that. We were already doing that. So can you touch on that a little bit more? I also don't really understand the corridor. Like what is the corridor? So a sidewalk or a neighborhood planting?
I gotcha. Yeah. Thank you for those questions. You're right. We were doing amazing work using nature-based solutions and getting the community support and enthusiasm to promote those ideas. The plan moving forward, specifically for rain gardens, is that partnering with stakeholders that will be also working with the Eco Corridor idea, most notably the Climate Coalition, who the city recently helped secure some resources. But I'm also working, collaborating with them currently, and setting aside some rainproof funds that they could utilize to expand the rain garden program. One of the pieces of feedback that my predecessor Katie and I spoke about was how do you make rain gardens a little bit more effective in terms of networking them so they have the most impact. So in areas like where you reside, where there are tons of issues of flooding, we want to make sure that organizations that we partner with help us map those areas and incorporate the rain gardens where the need is most pronounced. So working with groups on the ground that have a little bit more bandwidth, and also have these amazing relationships with like the Clemson Extension. That's the plan moving forward. That's the most immediate plan. And I have met with the Climate Coalition, Belvin and Charlton very recently about that. And hopefully we'll be able to help resource them even more so we can bring back the rain garden program for also the east side as well, not just Wagner Terrace area.
Well, follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, well, why would we just be bringing this back to the peninsula is my question. One question. And again, I apologize. I still don't really understand the corridors. I mean, the two yellow lines that were on the map. I mean, just that chunk of the peninsula is what we're focusing these efforts on. Is that sort of what the corridor is?
No. Again, that was the pilot area. So to reiterate, the rust-colored lines were a general boundary for the initial phase of what would be a modular project that will be rolled out throughout all of Charleston. We have yet to define the corridor's boundaries because again, the pilot will be in and around the Halsey Creek watershed. The reason why it starts there, it doesn't end there. The reason why it starts there, this is where the work of the Marsh Project, that group has initiated. And so they already have a proof of concept in the way of some demonstration gardens and some other work that they've done with local private property owners that we're trying to replicate at a larger scale throughout all of Charleston. We're just starting there because this is where the idea began. And this is where the community has focused a lot of their efforts. But by no means are we abandoning. I live in West Ashley. No way we're not going to make our way over to other areas of Charleston that have the same kind of need for sure. But I will say there is no defined boundary yet. So you're not wrong. You're not seeing it yet. But this is the concept, the framework that we're rolling out and hoping to refine it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And do we have funds set aside for this already?
No, again, we're in the early stages. I think I mentioned early in the presentation, the plan was to pursue, and I am pursuing grants and other types of resources to help with the beginning stages. The ecological corridor, as supported by the Marsh Project in this early stage, is not a huge undertaking. We have not set aside any money. We have not begun to spend anything. It's about trying to refine the idea and figuring out where it should fit, where it should go.
Yeah, if I may, Mika.
Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
I think that this is a concept that was we're piggybacking off of as Mika pointed out, a community-driven effort with the Marsh Project, and they were originally looking at, well, again, as Mika pointed out, it's not fully defined from Halsey Creek over to Newmarket Creek, just a bio corridor where pollinators and things like that could be connected. But this idea has really kind of taken off, and a lot of people are interested in it, and it could expand across the entire city, not just on the peninsula. And having city supported effort, not necessarily financially, but definitely helps on grant writing or grant capabilities. And so, we've had almost right off the bat, well, I don't think it's been awarded yet, but Bloomberg, for example, expressed a lot of interest in this being a program that they might support. So, we're just trying to say, okay, this is something that the city, this community effort is something that the city supports. And if we can help find some funding for it to expand it and do some proofs of concept, we think it makes sense for all the reasons that Mika's pointed out. And again, not just on the peninsula, but across the city.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, I think that when we talk to Scott, he'll probably be able to connect some of the dots. This is not something that's just started. This has been being worked on now for the last 4 or 5 years. There are volunteers that have been working on the corridor quote for some time. And I think that we allowed Dr. Scott to sort of give us his ideas on the Marsh project. It'll probably answer some of our questions.
All right, Councilman Gregory, I'm definitely going to get Dr. Scott in. I just wanted to get any questions of committee members to Ms. Gatson after the presentation. Any other comments or questions or observations from Ms. Gatson? Now, Dr. Scott, you're up in front and center.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Blake Scott. I'm a professor at the College of Charleston. I teach international environmental studies, but I'm also a community member in Wagner Terrace. So this is a local grassroots project working with the Wagner Terrace Neighborhood Association, the Marsh Project, but also a research team coming from College of Charleston and Clemson Design Center. And we began with Halsey Creek as a pilot project to try to improve the biodiversity, but also stormwater management and improve community access to the creek. We would ideally, our dream is that we would become the cross to your low line, that there would be east-west access to the north-south corridor that is the low line, and we would use nature-based projects with tree canopy cover and bioswales along that corridor so that it would be for pedestrians and cyclists and community members, but also that they would have more access to nature as they're moving from east to west to commute down the low line. And that this could be a pilot project approximately 1.6 miles across the peninsula from the Ashley to the Cooper River, but that then other communities off the peninsula could find corridors to connect to the ecological corridor to support things as basic and essential to the low country like the Atlantic Flyway, that all these birds migrate across the peninsula and we hear that bird song in the morning, but we need trees and we need native plants that allow this ecology and this life to visit our neighborhoods. That's the basic summary of what we've been after. It's been a fun research project, and we're going to continue to explore this as a grassroots community effort and as something we want to do on a university setting to support the city that we love.
Well, Dr. Scott, number one, thanks for taking your time to come and certainly contribute to this conversation. Any questions of Dr. Scott?
Yes, I'm happy to address questions.
Dr. Scott, can you talk about some of the volunteers and some of the plantings that we've already done?
Yes, with Councilman Gregory, we have 3 demonstration gardens in Wagner Terrace, and working with some local plant nurseries, some city property, but also private property owners. We've done demonstration gardens for native plants so that how you could slow water on your property like a rain garden, but also hold the soil and demonstrate to folks that they can bring these plants and this life back to the neighborhoods to see monarch butterflies or migratory birds. We also have an historic marker. We want to make historical storytelling part of this project. So we documented the history of Halsey Creek, its connections to the American Revolution, the colonial era, the Charleston Exposition. So combining demonstration gardens with public-facing educational approaches to this project. And we also have a membership program. It doesn't cost anyone money. They just sign up that they're committed to these principles. And I believe we have 108 members in the community who've signed up to plant native plants, to support tree canopy cover and biodiversity on their property, and also slow rainwater, which would help cumulatively with flooding. So these are the things that we're doing on a local scale right now.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, sir.
I know that we're trying to put this forward through resolution, but I think at some point, Mr. Mayor and Chairman, we need to look and see whether or not we can codify some of this so that we can institutionalize it and it'll be in place long after we're gone, because it's all about being one with nature. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Parker, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Scott, Dr. Scott. I apologize, Dr. Scott.
I have a PhD, but you can call me Blake if you'd like. So Blake is fine.
Okay. Well, thank you for that explanation. I think what I'm understanding is, again, the corridors, I think east to west. So I think I've got it. But well, that's great work that you're doing down in the peninsula. I mean, I would love to see some of those things on James Island. And I know that a lot of this is sort of what our city department has been working on a lot in the past. I mean, thanks to Katie Zimmerman and, you know, God rest his soul, Dale Morris. I mean, they had great efforts, ongoing efforts, and some of those were pulled back. So I understand that now this is sort of in the private sector. So you guys are doing the informational sessions or programming, help paying for the plantings, you know, teaching constituents, planting them yourself, all of that?
Yes, it's part of my research at the College of Charleston. I've got a South Carolina Sea grant through NOAA that's funded part of this. We've also had private donors support this. Did you want more explanation on that? I wasn't sure entirely what.
Yeah, I mean, with all the good work that you've already done downtown, that was all through private sources, or you're the grant?
Private and university support. We also have a student club. We've actually run university courses around this theme and run independent studies as well. So it is integrated into our curriculum, but it's also in partnership with the Wagner Terrace Neighborhood Association. We are trying to engage a number of stakeholders on the very local and grassroots scale so that when you all decide if you would like to support it or how we can help the municipality, it's just a lower scale of local governance that we're trying to engage that would grow over time.
Okay.
Environmental
Yeah.
commons, we could say. Right? How do we
No,
shift
I love it. I love it. I've always been a staunch supporter of these nature-based solutions, and over here on James Island, everyone else is too.
Let me also say this, Carolyn, Ms. Parker, is that part of this is taking all these great ideas that have accumulated over time in Charleston and providing a narrative of connectivity across neighborhoods. So it's one thing to talk about nature-based solutions from one neighborhood to the next, but what links all of us, right? And so by using and embracing and studying this idea of a corridor, each nature-based solution in each community now has a way to connect to each other in terms of the movement of biodiversity, but also people from one neighborhood to the next.
Okay, I don't know if I quite understand that, but I'll get
okay.
there.
But-
Could you just share? I won't take any more of the committee's time. Could you, the membership program, can you share info on with the council members or the committee members? Would you mind?
I would prefer not to give out people's addresses, but I can.
Oh, no.
I certainly can give you the membership ideas. There's 10 principles. It's online too. themarshproject.com.
Marshproject.com. Thank
And
you. That's what I wasn't looking for anyone's email.
Okay, understood. I'm sorry to say that you have to think about perhaps linear pathways that would have tree canopy cover or vegetative buffers like the Greenway in West Ashley, right? How could we continue that idea from the Arc Bridge to the Ravenel Bridge with green corridors along the way? We'd happy to show you some additional maps and ideas we've worked at Clemson Design Center.
I mean, for sure. I'd love that because I know the town, you know, everybody here on James Island. But I just wanted to make sure. So marshproject.com, I can share that program information. And if people want to sign up, they can.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Parker. And certainly thank you, Dr. Scott. So if you don't mind hanging in there just in case the secondary questions. Ms. Gatson, tell me how we just had a presentation from Mr. Cave and obviously Mr. Fountain by introduction on what was a flooding area at Shadow Moss that's now, I would think, an ecological area. Even when they took out some of the trees, they kept some for habitat for, ducks and turtles and the like. But I thought we had, and I don't know whether it's dovetail or not, but um, on James Island, we have the drainage project on Central Park Road that will have somewhat of the part of the solution is a collection area that's going to be of acres, that's going to be a natural um, buffer for the water to go through and flow through to alleviate some of the drainage on Central Park Road. If you were to go to, I mentioned the one in Shadow Moss, but there's one in Hickory Hills as well, a couple of them in Shadow Moss neighborhood. There's one in Hickory Farms area where we don't have to, but we bought out houses that flood repeatedly. You can't build on it anymore, but then we use it again as an ecological area for collections and actually have gotten grants and monies to create the swales and the plantings that go there. I don't know if you saw that demonstration that's now Dr. Scott prior to Ms. Gadsden's presentation. East Oak Forest, we have, I don't know, 4 or 5 homes that were bought out in low-lying areas that now serve, again, with swales and plantings to absorb water and wildlife, bird and the like. So how does that, Mr. Fountain and Ms. Gadsden, dovetail into this march, this ecological project we have going?
Mr. Chairman, is Mr. Robinson on the line, Josh? Because I think he can participate in the conversation as well.
Well, let me thank you. I'll recognize Mr. Robinson if he's on, but I'm thinking some of this is being done already off the peninsula and maybe not being
I think you're right.
included in the corridor that's on the peninsula. That's the target process, target project.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I think you're absolutely right. I think the point here is, and Blake made reference to this. It's connecting those projects together through corridors that not only birds and butterflies can travel through uninterrupted through tree canopies and bushes and whatnot, but also greenways for bike and pedestrian movement as well. And
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. That's why I'm thinking some of this can be dovetailed with Ms. Gadsden's presentation as to what's gonna be done, and it has been done in some cases. West Ashley, I didn't mention Barberry Woods over on Johns Island. That's going to have a really nice ecological aspect to it, to that drainage solution over there. So, are the two of you all communicating? I'm just on this, on this. I think all of this is great, by the way. Thank you for the presentation, but
you're asking, Chairman, you're
if
asking
you
like,
if you and Mr. Fountain's team are coordinating on this together.
well, the team, not necessarily, but I know Matt and I have been collaborating formally in another separate program. But I believe in recent weeks, building those relationships and building that collaboration between departments, that's what's going on now. But we did, Matt did accompany the Marsh Project and Joshua Robinson and Councilman Gregory on a walk of the Halsey Creek area, that watershed area. So that was the beginning of some of this collaboration. But Matt, I don't know if you had anything to say or would like to be recognized.
Mr. Fountain.
Chairman.
Yes.
I would say just very briefly, Mr. Chairman, I think you're right. The Stormwater Department has been working on these ecological style projects, especially in the suburban areas of the city where we see they have the most readily implementable approach because you often have slightly lower property value, more land to work with, and trying to kind of bring back what many of us think makes the Low Country so special in the first place, right? Are these beautiful forested wetland areas. So I think Councilor Parker, as you mentioned, I mean, James Island is the perfect area for a lot of these. We have one right now on Johns Island in process. We just talked about one in Church Creek that we're doing in Outer West Ashley. That is sort of the traditional place that we've been implementing these. The peninsula certainly has some areas that I think Ms. Gasson is looking at for can we extend that work either through New Market Creek, as Ms. Gazella looked at with the recent looks at New Market Creek and grant opportunities there. And then with the Wagner Terrace area, in that the Stormwater Department has money for a traditional gray infrastructure outfall cleaning there, this from the small project allocations, this is an opportunity to see, could we instead modify the way we do our traditional kind of gray infrastructure outfall cleanings into being more ecologically friendly, and then continue to expand that out in other areas as well. So I think important to have collaboration. Certainly is something we need to be doing citywide. In most cases, it's the easiest projects for these are actually in the outlying area. So certainly some attention, and can we do this in a more urbanized area as well?
Great. I see Councilman Gregory hand up.
Yeah, just a quick question for Matt. So Matt, we already have within our wherewithal or within our stormwater manual to do ecological coordination when we do projects.
Yes, we do, Councilman Gregory. We certainly look at options for green infrastructure work wherever we can and wherever it makes sense. I mean, we do a cost benefit evaluation and a quality of life evaluation, look for our funding opportunities and our project opportunities in every project that we do.
Okay, so we already have some codification on this.
It's certainly baked into our project approach, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Parker, I see your hand.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Yeah, I was just going to say that too. I mean, I'm certain in speaking with Mr. Fountain that a lot of these objectives are already being done in a lot of our stormwater, you know, whether they're repairs or new or updates, whatever they are, which is great. I would like to hear, is Mr. Robinson on the line? I mean,
I'm going to recognize him if he is right after you.
On, you know, not only how we not just tie this with new development, but with citizens within the city. We have a lot of moving parts, and then obviously we have the private sector. So I'd love to hear his thoughts.
Okay. I'm very familiar with Mr. Robinson. As a matter of fact, some of his impressive work that was done in Columbia with a creek that winds all the way through Columbia that they brought literally back to life. Mr. Robinson, are you on the line? Okay. One more time, Mr. Robinson. Okay. Apparently he's not on. Mr. Councilman Gregory, I see your hand again.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't take it down. Sorry.
Hey, listen, this has been I think a wonderful conversation. Ms. Gatson, thanks again. Certainly, I would hope you and Mr. Fountain and Mr. Robinson and the mayor and everybody, this is a win-win-win. A triple header here on this one right here. Any final comments, Mr. Mayor, or any council members?
So right now, this is just for information. Mika?
Mika?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep. It currently, that's exactly it. Wanted to present the framework, explain what it could look like. But there's still more information that I'd be more than happy to share. And I know that also the March Project would love to share some of their concepts. It's very broad, or rather comprehensive. So I'd love to continue to share that information.
One thing I've read the resolution, the draft resolution, which I think is in pretty good shape. And it would really be great if we can sort of start moving forward with sort of cleaning it up, getting that together, and perhaps present something to council, because many of the questions that are being asked are answered in the resolution. Okay, particularly as it relates to rain gardens and shore, blah, blah. A lot of it's there already in terms of how we might be approaching it. So if we can if we can sort of start moving forward with trying to solidify that resolution, I think it would start moving things forward.
All right. Well, let me ask this, Miss Councilman Gregory. I agree with that, but can we make sure it coordinates with some of the aspects that Mr. Fountain spoke of with the stormwater management?
Well, that's why I asked about the question, because I think that there needs to be a correlation or at a minimum a cross reference to whatever is already codified.
All right,
it strengthens it substantially, I think.
I agree. Time well spent. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Ganson. It was spot on. Great.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson, for taking your
Scott.
time to come and share with us today. Hopefully, this won't be the last time. All right, we're down to item J2, HMGP Flood Communications and Data Grant. Who's going to address that?
Hi, Mr. Chair. I can address that really quickly. So this is money that the State Emergency Management Department has received from FEMA for Helene and Debbie, and it's an opportunity for the city to apply for some of that money, and it will allow citywide for us to collect some more flood data through purchasing and putting out more flood sensors, more tide gauges, exactly where we're talking about in other areas, and getting this data helps us build projects when we're going after for the Corps, for the funding for grants. So we could put a tide gauge out over on like the Wapu Cut. We could put some more flood sensors in some of our roads off peninsula that we know that flood that we can't keep track of right now. Also, we can get some more flood cameras and help enhance the programs that we've already started. We could also help some of our flood communications. We have our tie-dye tool, which is awesome, but it's not an app. It's not a real-time integration with like Waze when people are driving. So it could help us build out some of these communication tools as well. So, and the deadline is just, we have to apply by next Wednesday. So that's why we're expediting it through the committee and council.
Listen, we welcome this kind of expediting. So thank you. Thank you. Any questions on this grant? Listen, thank you again for today. That brings us to the end, but on the miscellaneous, I did have one or two questions.
Mr. Chairman, I think we need a motion and a second and a vote on the grant.
On which item? On the grant?
J2, yes, sir.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Probably moving second. Any more questions on that grant application? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Now, Mr. Fountain, can you give us a little update on, this is some old business, but the area off of Ashley Hall Road, Montclair Drive, and the area that was blocked on the opposite side where the apartments are had a little
Yeah,
dam.
absolutely, Mr. Chairman. So on Montclair Drive, we did investigate some of the reports of flooding in that area, found there was a significant sandbar, for lack of a better word, that it had accumulated across a portion of the lake where there's a utility connection. So we cleared one of our easements to be able to get equipment in, access that area, removed the debris that accumulated kind of against that utility line to restore the amount of flow so that that whole lake is able to receive stormwater instead of just the half the lake that was basically accessible when that debris and sandbar dam was built up.
So that's the little earthen dam area has been removed.
It has. There's still the utility line there,
Right.
but we're monitoring it to remove any debris in advance of storms to make sure that water can flow throughout that whole lake area. We're looking into the utility line to see if there's any options to relocate that so that debris doesn't recollect.
Okay. All right.
The next step will be looking at the outfall system under the roadway and out into the marsh. That's a small project work we'll probably look at towards the end of this year, beginning of next year.
Okay, and that would kind of entail what?
So that would be there's basically like a riser structure that acts to prevent the tidal water from coming into that lake now. So looking at, is the structure and the pipes big enough to allow the water out as fast as it's getting into the lake when the tide is down? So does it need to be bigger? Do we need additional pipes underneath it? So I'll take a little bit of survey work and some modeling work to figure that out.
All right. Okay, what about again, cleaning out East Oak Forest, the drainage that's headed to Savannah Highway and eventually under Savannah Highway and out to Estona.
That's right. So that is one of the previously funded small projects, East Oak Forest, West Oak Forest. We did complete our evaluation, hydrologic modeling to see what are the constrictions in the area. One of those is that outfall channel and the debris accumulations under 17, as well as the pipes under the Greenway and the pipes under Highway 17. Long-term capital project wise, we're looking to for funding sources and as well as potential city funding for consideration as a future capital project. But on the short-term scale, as part of the small project, we did submit to the Army Corps of Engineers and the state the environmental permits to be able to clean out that channel section. You probably remember the committee approved the gratis dedication of easements from the property owners in that area, including the church, the car wash, and the shopping center. We did receive our first round of comments actually last week from the Corps and have responded to those comments, or responded last week. So hopefully we'll be looking at that permit over the next few months and be able to get that cleaned and back open before hurricane season.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that information. You provided that on short notice, and I appreciate that. Ms. Parker, I see your hand.
Sorry, did you say Ms. Parker?
I did.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just since we're under miscellaneous business and since we were talking about all of these great nature-based solutions, I did see where CWS is actually doing some oyster renourishment work, I believe,
Right.
in and or near their plant, which is, you know where it is, James Island.
Right.
So I don't know if you had a part in that, or if that was just an initiative that they ran with, because that's just something that we had been pushing for a lot in our James Island Creek task force.
Right.
So thank you. I mean, if that's an ongoing effort.
It is an ongoing effort. That's actually CPW team doing that over there. I mean, their leadership over there, because obviously the oyster banks that they're trying to reestablish, that they have reestablished, filter water, okay, from a natural standpoint. So yeah, that's something that CPW and I say CPW, Charleston Water System, and their team have come up with over there, and to great success, by the way. So thanks for giving them a shout out on that. So.
No, that's great. I mean, we want to see it. Anything we can do. I mean, we've told them this for years, anything we can do to support, I think we should. I mean, that creek, I mean, I think it's better, but it's history.
Right.
It has been in great shape. So please just keep up the good work over there, because we love it. It's great for that creek. Thank you.
We got a meeting on Wednesday morning, so I will definitely carry your message. Okay.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Any final comments from committee members? It's been a good meeting, good presentations and comment and input. With that, by acclamation, I'll call this meeting to a close and look forward to seeing each and every one of you tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Bye-bye.